What's going on, everybody? My name is Jon Keene. Welcome to the Dynasty Wealth Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about is your CBD oil safe? I apologize in advance to everyone listening today for my voice, but there's not anything I can really do about it. So we're gonna punch on through. But some new studies have confirmed exactly what we've been saying. And so on the podcast today, we're going to be talking about these studies and is your CBD oil safe? All right. Some people are being sent right now to hospitals because of unsafe CBD oil. Kids that are treating epilepsy are having more seizures because of unsafe CBD oil. All right, so we're going to talk about that on the podcast today. Welcome to the show. Shout out to everybody, whether you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, Anchor.fm, Spreaker, any other podcast platform that you're listening to this podcast on today. Shout out to you, and I love you. Welcome to the podcast. I hope that you enjoy this show. So we're going to get into it rather quickly today because it's such a serious issue. So we're not going to fool around. So is your CBD oil safe? Well, first off, let's talk about what's happened. Let's talk about what has happened recently. The hospitalization of a kid has raised some serious questions about the safety of CBD oil and whether or not CBD oil is contaminated. And let me stop and just say this. If you're listening to this podcast today and you are working with, for, or in partnership with any company that is not putting the customer's best interest first, all right, shame on you. If you're putting garbage CBD on the market or synthetic CBD on the market, shame on you. All right, there's no excuse. All right, first off, let's go through a quick rundown. CBD, all right, is the extract that's gaining huge popularity right now as a natural alternative for managing your pain, inflammation, anxiety, things like that, including epilepsy. However, recent reports have called into question the safety of CBD. All right, stories have started surfacing about compromised quality of CBD oil. Most recently, an 8-year-old boy from Washington State was recently hospitalized, and his case got published in the medical journal Clinical Toxicology. All right, like many other parents whose kids are having seizures, his mom and dad were desperate to find a way to treat his condition. And after giving him CBD, they noticed a decrease in the frequency that he was having seizures over the course of about a 2-week period. But then out of nowhere, the kid had 14 seizures in 24 hours, which was much higher than normal. All right, so during this time, the kid's parents reported that he had dilated pupils, agitation. There was a variety of abnormal symptoms in him. Fortunately, he returned to normal, but the question still remained, why did it happen, right? And more importantly, why did the CBD oil work at first and then cause a sudden adverse effect? Was it the CBD oil that caused the side effects, or was it something else? Well, how do you know if your CBD oil is safe? All right, CBD is the concentrated extract of cannabinoid that's found in the cannabis plants. All right, the contents of the CBD oil is always going to vary depending upon the extraction method, depending upon whether or not it's full spectrum or isolate. All right, all of that is going to dictate the quality of the CBD oil that they're getting. So your condition is going to dictate kind of which CBD oil you need to purchase. Okay, CBD has a multitude of therapeutic benefits like alleviating symptoms of cancer, improving symptoms of autoimmune disease, inflammation, pain, anxiety. But still to this day, there's limited knowledge about the long-term effect of CBD consumption because of the ban on cannabis or marijuana as a whole over the last 70 years, 80 years. So it does appear that it's safe for everybody. But here's what's important to note. All right, not everybody's CBD oil is created equal. All right, not everything you buy is what it says that you're buying. This little kid's story is a prime example of a need for companies to take responsibility and put quality product out first and worry about profit margins second. All right, this isn't candy. This isn't a car. This is people treating illnesses. This is people treating their children. This is people treating diseases. This is people that are seeking this out as almost a last resort for relief. And to take advantage of these people by not putting the highest quality product that you have available to you on the market is nothing short of pathetic at all. At all. According to research, synthetic CBD, all right, AB Fubinaca, that's how you say that, AB Fubinaca, all right? According to research, it's caused multiple fatalities already, including fatal coronary artery thrombosis in a 41-year-old, all right? A recent review of Dutch cannabis oil studies found large inconsistencies in cannabis oil content. One study looked at 46 different cannabis oil samples taken directly from patients. Researchers analyzed these samples for cannabinoid content. 29 of the samples were homemade. 29. 17 were purchased online. And 21 labels indicated the cannabinoid content. That means out of 46 different, 29 of them were homemade. 17 were some crap that was bought online, and 21 of them had labels showing the cannabinoid content. The results showed that the actual content of the CBD product differs significantly from the claim content, with 7 of the 21 labeled samples containing no CBD at all. None. Out of these 7, they were both homemade and commercially obtained products. Some of the oils contain only THC and no CBD, even when the product claimed the opposite ratio. The same research review found that even cannabis sourced from some licensed producers in California and Canada had pesticides. And this is no small risk. I've said it time and time again, and these studies are starting to verify what I've been preaching on this podcast, on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on my Twitter, on my YouTube. Know where you're getting your product. If you're going to feed it to a child especially, know where you're getting it. Read your labels. These MLM companies that are popping up are absolutely destroying the CBD market because they are having to go with the lowest cost product in order to pay everybody in their effed up matrix system that they have that doesn't work. It doesn't work in the first place. All right, it doesn't work. People do not join MLM companies and recruit people from their living room and make money, right? The people that do that already had money before they joined the MLM company. If I was to start an MLM company right now, I've got enough finances, I can make it look however I wanted it to look. Don't be sheep. All right, the people that are making the money are the people that own the company, not the distributors. It's a scam. And it hurts the patients when you've got to overprice product or reduce quality in order to hit your margins. That's garbage. This should be an industry that is not played with and toyed with by people like that, or business owners like that, or companies like that. This has to be an industry that people take serious. It has to be an industry that people devote their time, energy, craft, and passion to if you're going to come into it, and especially if you're going to develop products. If you're going to sell them and you don't know where they came from or what's in them, but you're just selling them because somebody called you and said you can buy this for 10 and sell it for 20, shame on you. Shame on you. You don't know where that product's going to end up, who it's going to be intended to treat, or what it's going to be used for. Shame on you. Absolutely shame on you. We have said from the beginning, we will not waver in our quality. We will not waver. Our CBD oil contains full spectrum CBD extracted from a source or a technique that we have patented that nobody else uses. It is not the industry standard. It is not the way all of these other companies we just talked about extracts their CBD oil. It contains that. It contains coconut oil, organic. Everything's organic. And organic raw honey. That's it. If your CBD has anything else in it, if it has preservatives in it, if it has anything other than that in it, it's garbage. It's garbage, and you should never, ever, ever promote it, give it to anybody, or hand it off, because this should be treated as medicine because of the people that it could potentially affect or not affect. It's not a game. It's not something to dibble or dabble in. It's not something that you watch one of your friends try to do, and then you just go open up a little rinky-dink store that sells garbage. No, this is something to be nurtured, to be cared for, because of the impact that it has on millions and millions of consumers. If I buy a bag of Cheetos from my 5-year-old and they're stale, no harm, no foul. If I buy CBD oil for my kids' seizures and they make them worse, big harm, big foul. No excuse. None. Not to be tolerated, not to be excused. Every one of these people that have done this need to take a step back and realize that what they're doing is hurting real people, real families. While they're selling their garbage and sailing around on their little boats, there are children and mothers and grandfathers and grandmothers and soldiers and people with depression and people with PTSD and people with anxiety that are being taken advantage of, that are not getting the relief that they need. And who knows how many suicides, death, illness, or anything else, pain that can lead to. It is not something to be taken lightly. It is something to be taken serious. The more research that I did when I started my company, the more disgusted I was with the industry and the people that were putting products out. Like a gimmick. Like CBD is a gimmick. Right? Oh, let's put a picture of a dude with like a big bong on our packaging or what. It's not a gimmick. It's treatment. It's help. It's hope for people, real people that are suffering. So shame on all those companies that are doing that. People need to buy products that they have lab tests on, lab analysis on, right? That they know. You see, unfortunately, CBD products containing contaminated materials like molds, bacteria, and synthetic cannabinoids, they're not uncommon, and they pose a health risk to real people. We need consistent products in the CBD industry. And if you're not willing to stand beside me, I don't care if you have a different company. It's not about competition. If you've got a quality product, great. Let's help the world. If you develop something with CBD that's great. Let's help the world. It's not a competition. This isn't big pharma, and that's what y'all are doing, is turning it into big pharma all over again. That's what big pharma's doing, is dipping their hand. I'm almost 100% sure that most of the bullcrap is probably being created by pharmaceutical companies. But this is not big pharma. This is a holistic, natural way to treat symptoms. So if you're going to try to synthesize it, or you're going to try to add things to it, chemicals to it, to create the results you need without having to do the actual work and create a quality product, you don't need to be in this industry. You can go sell Percocet, go sell Advil, or go sell any other chemical to help somebody treat something. We don't need you in this industry. We need people that are going to do the research, the hard work, the dedication, and the commitment to make sure that the people that use these products can rest assured that they're getting exactly what they need. End of story. And if I sound pissed off today, it's because I am. Because when I see an article like that, that could be prevented. That could be prevented by a CEO taking his job seriously. By a president stepping up and saying, I understand what my research team is telling me, that I can make more money this way, but we're not going to sacrifice our integrity or our morals. That's what it is. That's what it should have been, but that's not what it was. Listen, when I found out that certain products I was associated with, there was this multi-level marketing company, one of the first companies that I ever really partnered with when I was going through this, and until I did my due diligence and research, I had no idea what I was selling. No idea at all. They claimed to have set the gold standard, Ultracell, potassium sorbate's in there. The first ingredient is purified water. I had no clue what I was selling. But yet another prime example of a product grossly overpriced with nothing in it. That the bottle of that costs $130, by the way. A bottle of that, $130 for purified water, chemicals, and CBD. $130. I don't know what to tell you. That's a shame. That's a shame. Our purest form of CBD oil, 250 milligrams, starts at $34.99. Don't you dare tell me. Don't you dare tell me that you can sleep good at night. Don't you dare tell me, man, that you care about people. Don't you join that organization that's the integrity and the morals that they set. Don't you dare tell me that, because it's garbage. It's garbage. And nobody, if I bought that product and gave it to my child and it made him sick or worse, nobody deserves that. Nobody. All these companies using isolates, shame on you. All these companies using partial spectrum CBD, shame on you. You're cutting corners, you're saving money. Stop. Produce quality products. At least then, maybe you could charge that and still sleep at night. I couldn't sleep at night charging that, but maybe you could and still sleep at night, as long as the product was what it was supposed to be. Guys, I don't know how else to tell you this. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It's serious. Every time somebody shares garbage, right, it has an impact. And every time somebody shares quality, it has an impact. It's our responsibility as consumers and as customers to drive the market and drive the industry, not allow somebody else or somebody sitting in their big house that don't care about what happens to us drive and dictate the industry. We cannot allow CBD and cannabis to become like everything else. We cannot allow it to happen. We cannot allow it to become regulated and for the government or the U.S. Hemp Authority and these so-called bodies of government that care about our personal interest, right? We've been around too long. I'm 32 and I've been around too long. I know that it's legal for you to sell me cheese that's not real cheese. Can't even melt it with a damn lighter. I know that my meat has glue in it and that it's not a prime cut. I know that the fish that I'm eating is not really wild caught. It came from a farm somewhere, even though it says wild caught. I know that natural flavors mean it could contain unborn fetuses. How many people know that? It'll make you rethink Taco Bell and Pepsi real quick. I know all of this, right? I do my research. I know that 99% of the time when the government, when they say that it's good for us, they're being paid for and bought out by some billionaire that wants them to deliver that message. I know that. And we have a obligation to not allow something like cannabis to be used in that way. We have an obligation to not allow them to come in and sanction companies because they play golf well together and let these million-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies tear cannabis apart and poison people. That's why they wouldn't legalize it in the first place, people. They couldn't patent it. They couldn't make it proprietary. So how do you make a plant that anybody can grow proprietary? You ban it. And then you create synthetic chemicals to treat people. And that's what they did. And now that it's becoming more and more popular and unbanned, and people are realizing it works better than anything Big Pharma's put out in the last 80 years, shame on every single one of you. There's a special place for each and every one of them, by the way. And now that people are figuring that out, guess what? Well, now they're starting to try to create synthetics. And believe you me, if the synthetics work, the next thing you would see is another ban. Believe that. But if the synthetics don't work, well, then they'll just take that industry over. They'll just buy crops, and they'll diminish the quality of the product to save money. They'll stuff them full of steroids. Just look at the chicken industry, the poultry industry. Every single industry that we have has been tainted and ruined by the United States government itself, by lobbyists, by the government, has been ruined. Every single, from the education system to what we put in our damn body, has been destroyed by these so-called regulations that are supposed to keep us healthy. Well, maybe when they were designed, they had good intentions, but by God, you can't tell me that now. You can't tell me that now. It's sickening. It's sickening to know that all I have to do, and believe me, I've been approached by people, all I have to do is just pad some pockets, and they don't care what the outcome is of anything, as long as they get a little money. That's sickening. It's sickening. So I'm telling you now, don't let it happen to CBD. How do you keep it from happening? Well, first off, the number one thing is to keep yourself healthy. And how do you do that? Get your CBD from a quality source. I don't know of another CBD company on this planet that the president and CEO of the company goes live every single day, day after day, to talk to the customers and get feedback and answer questions. That's a shame. What are you doing? I can tell you what they're doing. They're pumping out garbage, saving money, and they're playing golf, or they're vacationing, or they're chilling out. And I'm sorry, but you don't deserve to be doing that if you have not got a quality product yet. Listen, by all means, when you develop a quality product that works, that's perfect, and you've answered all your customers' questions, or you've got somebody to do that for you, then you can go do whatever you want. But until then, you have an obligation to the consumer, an obligation to the patient, an obligation to the customer. That's why we do things different. That's why we do things different. It's not a game. It's not something to be played with. And it's not a toy. For some people, this is very much life or death. For somebody with cancer, this could be very much life or death. For somebody seeking this as a last option, very much life or death. And people are playing with it and trying to turn it in to another disgusting example of American greed. There's a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. And the day that big companies can pay for laws to be passed, the day that big companies can pay for an endorsement from our United States government that's not 100% safe and effective and right for the customer, the day that that happens, we've lost it. And it's already here. It's already happening. You got to wake up and see it. This isn't conspiracy. This is just fact. This is what's happening. We've all seen it. We've all been a product of it. Every single one of us. Every single one of us. What they want you to know comes in a Macmillan book. Age kindergarten through 12th grade. That's it. That's it. Outside. And who's creating that content? How then do you trust the government to be making sure that the educational content's right? That somebody doesn't have their hands in a pocket about that? That they're not feeding us information that they want us to know? That we're getting accurate information? Well, you don't. You don't, because the people have lost control. But see, the people have started taking it back here recently. And it's our job to continue to fight for it. It's our job to continue to show disgust for politicians that are bought from cannabis companies that aren't quality, from pharma companies that are poisoning people. It's our job to stand up and speak out. They use fear. They use the news. They use media to intimidate you. Right? Whom shall I fear? Whom? All I can tell you is that I walk through life and move mountains, because that's what my faith allows me to do. And I'll never be bought. And I'll never be persuaded to put out something for somebody that's less than what it should be. It's sad that there aren't more presidents and CEOs right now of cannabis companies speaking out about this issue, speaking out about the quality, and making a public statement to the community. But you won't, because you can't, because you're one of those companies that they were talking about. That's what's sad. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to the Dynasty Wealth Podcast today. I pray and hope that this podcast made an impact in your life, that it educated you in some way about the quality issues, the danger issues of CBD, about these companies that are starting to play with senators, these presidents and CEOs of cannabis companies playing with senators and lawmakers and politicians. Let me tell you something right now. If you live in a state and your lawmaker is pushing for cannabis, somebody's paying him to do it, or he's got his money involved in that industry. Lawmakers don't push for things they're not involved in or that aren't going to pay them. They just don't. Politicians don't do that. So if you've got a politician in your state, I bet he's got property in a legal state. I bet he's got a grow operation in a legal state. I bet he's just looking to increase sales revenue. And that's a shame. That's a shame. Stay awake. Be smart. Know that nobody has any control over you. Whom shall you fear? Nobody. Nobody can dictate one thing to you that's going to happen in your life. You are the author of your story. You control every single page in your story. Nobody else has that power or that authority but you. Nobody. Nobody can touch you. Nobody can bring harm to you unless you allow it, unless your fear allows it. Don't be persuaded. Don't be programmed. Don't be lost in the chaos that they portray. Everyone needs to focus on what they want in life and seek that. That's what they need to do. What do you want in life? What do you want in life? What's your cause? What's your mission? Take that up and pursue that. Don't take up some fool's mission because he promised you something. Don't let somebody buy you. Don't let somebody persuade you. Stand fast in who you are. If we would all do that, we would change the country. We would change the world. But that's what has to happen. I love you, each and every one of you. You guys are incredible. I want to thank you for all the love, all the support. I hope each and every one of you will share this podcast out, share this message out. Follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/BIGJONSCBD. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, at Big Jon CBD. You can find out more about me at BigJohnCBD.com. It's time for us to take control. It's time for us to live the life that we were meant to be and stop being puppets for other people to greedily live the life that we were meant to be. Everybody have a phenomenal day, and stay tuned for the next episode.